Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Intelligent Moron with Alex Silva. It is now approaching middle of June. I hope that your summer is going well. We are just beginning summer, all the festivities that come with June, like graduations. That was pretty much all last week, I believe. The week before that, they went swimmingly. Like I said previously, my brother's graduation was in May, so I didn't really have to go through anything in the heat that we are experiencing now, so that is good. There was a couple graduations, and they were all outside that I'm aware of. This past week, I could only assume that it would be scorching hot at these graduations, but thank God no one I know, nobody in my immediate family is graduating, so I kind of dodged a bullet, if I'm being completely honest. I did not have to suffer throughout those graduations, even though it's a beautiful time. It's always a good thing to have somebody in your family graduate where you can be like, hey, you're smart enough to move on to college. Congratulations. Everybody's proud of you. I, for one, graduated college many, many, many years ago. And I'm looking back on it now and wondering, the emotions, or not wondering, but remembering the emotions that you have when you graduate high school. You take that big step, that big leap to becoming an adult, which for me didn't really feel like a big leap, but maybe it should have, because I still feel like I haven't changed. Like my maturity level from then to now, I don't feel like I changed whatsoever, if I'm being completely honest. I don't think that I, as a person, have gotten more mature since I graduated college. In fact, I still feel like what I think of now and back then has not changed that much. I'm pretty sure it has changed. I just don't realize it, but from what I can remember, from what I can tell, me back then is still me now, just older. And I guess you could say a little bit wiser about life and more seasoned about decision making. And obviously, I know more people than I did back then, professionally and in my personal life. I do know more people than I did back then. But as far as my view on most things, my view towards things, my view on the world in general, I think is even wider than it has ever been in my entire existence. I look at the world today through multiple perspectives of things. If you were to give me topics on things, on how I would view them back then versus now, I'm pretty sure that I can give you many, many, many more opinions today than I could back then. For instance, back then, I would not have known why, or I would not have been able to think why humanity never went back to the moon. I wouldn't know why we didn't back then. Because we did go to the moon in the 60s, and then we never went back. And it's only kind of popping into my head about going to the moon because I saw an ad where it had Neil Armstrong, in his astronaut suit, getting ready to go to the moon. And I thought about that, and I was like, why the hell did we not go back to the moon? What was the purpose of even going to the moon? I know it had something to do with Russia and trying to get to the moon first, to conquer the moon, to stamp our flag on the moon, to be like, hey, listen, Russia, the moon is ours. You can't touch it. I'm guessing that's why we did that. That's the only thing I can really think of. But I do think that that perspective would I mean like my perception or my thought on why we haven't gone to the moon back then would have been like, oh, I don't know, we just couldn't, or we just didn't want to, or we already did our thing there and then that was it. Now I'm like, well, the reason I think that we cannot go to the moon, or we haven't, or why we haven't, is because back then, like I said, we were trying to beat Russia to the moon as United States. And we got there before them, I believe. And that took like all of our resources, all of our money that we had, and we had to use it on that. And we used everything up. I think now, with the current technology that we have today, it's going to cost like even more to get people onto the moon. Just because of like safety and what kind of rockets we have nowadays, what they use to get there. I mean, I was watching a video on X. Elon Musk posted. It was like his a video of his Starship like launching into space. And if you haven't seen one of his rockets like go into space, or any rocket, just by watching the video, you can see how much like energy and force is used to get that rocket to get off the ground, because those things are pretty massive, right? They're massive, they're heavy, and they're expensive as hell. And that's like the things that you look at and you kind of think like, well, how is this going to be something that's, worth the money that we spend to get this thing into space? And just by watching the video alone, you can feel the size and you can feel the magnitude of how massive this thing is. This rocket, this giant Starship. I think he said it like weighed like, oh man, I can't remember the weight or how much it weighed. I think I can find it, but it was a pretty big rocket that was launching into orbit. And just by seeing it, I was just like, how in the world? Okay, 5,000 tons. That's how much it weighs on liftoff, the Starship. And I'm watching the video again right now because, just by watching it and just seeing like how much fire and smoke is coming off from this rocket, and like it completely covers like the entire land around it in this image in smoke, and it's just like it costs that much energy and power to get this thing off the ground, and it's like going straight up into the sky at, from what I can tell, looks like a pretty slow pace. Now, it could be faster in real life when you're on the ground watching it, but it's just like that is so much energy being used to get this thing off of the ground and into space. I can only imagine it now, costing, back then costing a lot of money, but even now today, it costing even more than we could ever imagine. Maybe not more than we could ever imagine, but like, sure as hell way more than we thought it could be. If you were like, alive at that time and you knew how much it cost to get Neil Armstrong on the moon. And then you look at the price and you're like, whoa, that was it. And now it costs even more. You'll be like, wow, I mean, I can't, you wouldn't even be able to believe the cost of that. Not to mention the people's safety, by the way, too. That's one thing that's also you know, something that I've kind of also pondered on this entire question, why we never went back to the moon, right? It's incredibly dangerous to do that. It's incredibly dangerous because of the people, the lives that are at stake. What if the rocket, has a malfunction and lives are lost? You never really want to, go through that. I remember there was a incident where, man, I was very young, but I do remember seeing it on the news. I think there was like a shuttle that was like launching into space, and then it just blew up in the sky, like really high up. It like got like very, very far away, and it just blew up, without even, just like it just a complete accident, I guess, or malfunction or something happened that the thing just blew up right in front of our very eyes. I could not believe it. I saw it, and then it was on the news the entire day, like a huge, huge disaster of what happened. Could not believe it. I just think that also is something that creeps into people's minds on like, are we going to do this? Are we going to actually risk these people's lives of going to the moon and stuff like that? Because as far as I can tell, with the technology that we have today, we do not have anything that comes close to science fiction. When we look at the ISS, International Space Station, other rockets that are in space, people and satellites, like the way of life in space is still pretty much the same as it is in like Apollo 11, whichever movie that was that came out that depicted that. People are just floating around and like, in a very tight, cramped space, and the food is whack, and everything is just like, still like very, very like it's like a super stressed and you got to be very careful type of living scenario, right? You can't like just go too wild. You can't like live fully relaxed. You got to make sure you don't freaking like bang too hard into the wall, or make sure all the screws are tight. You know what I'm saying? Because you're in space. I mean, if something goes wrong, one screw is loose, one screw gets pulling out, one thing is, detached, and it's over. Like the entire satellite or spaceship or rocket or anything is just going to go kaput, and it's just like I feel like one of the most like stressful environments to live in would be in like an actual space station orbiting like Earth, right? That to me would be either that or like in like a submarine that's like super deep in the ocean, or the same thing. If a nut gets loose, a bolt gets loose, or some kind of plating is like malfunctioning or something, y'all could get squished in like 1 second. In this one, you can get blown out into the vacuum of space and suffocate and die. Similar thing, but a very, very high stressful living situation, living scenario, which I don't know if I would ever be able to handle, if I'm being completely honest with you. I think that that's something that, even like, astronauts are usually picked from like people who are in a branch of the military, maybe some scientists. But what I've, been able to pick out is that a lot of people in the military are they're usually the ones picked to become astronauts. And I guess that would be the most logical transitional job that you could do, is from military to astronaut, because I do think that military and astronaut kind of go hand in hand in a way where it's like, can you be calm, cool, and collected at the most stressful times in your job? Yes, you've demonstrated this there and that there. Perfect. You could be considered to be an astronaut and be in a very high stress, high difficult way of living, which would just be on a space station that is that's orbiting the planet. You can't really move around too freely. It'll be like tight quarters. You can't like just bang on stuff and be like, we're okay. You got to be very alert and you have to know what's going on at all times. Now, could I do that? Could I potentially be an astronaut? I think that's something that a lot of kids, including myself when I was that age, dreamt of being, was an astronaut. Going into space, seeing the stars, seeing, going in rockets, going in spaceships. We all had that, that fantasy in our head. Like, what if we were astronauts? If we can go into space, wouldn't that be cool? From like characters like Buzz Lightyear and stuff like that, we were inspired. Like, that would be so cool. Now that I'm grown and I think about it, that requires probably a lot of like, strict training, a lot of math and stuff like that, a lot of things that I am not well adversed at. I don't know too much about, but I do think that it would be something that I would like to do if I had the time to do it and if I had the qualifications, which I clearly don't have the qualifications. But if I were given the time to learn them and to master them, I truly do think that I could make a pretty damn good astronaut, if I'm being completely honest, because I would want to so badly. I feel like also, like, in order to be good at something, very, very good at one thing, you have to want it really, really bad. And I think that I would be able to want it more than a lot of people. I'm not saying that I am the most driven person of all time, but I do think that, when it comes to a lot of people, when it comes to like, wanting something, going after it, I do think that I would put myself on like a top 10 list of go-getters out there, of the go-getter mentality and, go after it. I do feel that. I feel like I would put myself in that camp. I would do that. I would be the best. I have that mentality more than this other person. I am the hero in this situation. There's a lot of media out there, a lot of movies, particularly a lot of books, a lot of TV shows where it is, I guess, like the theme of it is the hero's journey, right? Just to name a couple things, Star Wars is a big, like, hero's journey type story. The original trilogy, it's Luke Skywalker is so going to be the hero of the galaxy. He's got to save the galaxy, right? He is him in this franchise. He is him. He is the guy. He must bring balance, to the Force. He has to be the Jedi to lead the rebels to defeat the Empire and to defeat Darth Vader, right? That is his quest. He is the hero in the hero's journey. Now, I think that the reason why that resonates with so many people is because, and I was talking to my brother about this, who knows more about movies and stuff than I do, but he was saying because we all, as a people in our lives, view us as the hero in our own journey. Like, we're not going to like sit around and be like, oh no, I mean, this guy in my life, he is the one. Like, oh, he's the main guy in my life. No, we all think that we are the main guy, the main person in our lives. And that, I think, is very true with everybody that, almost everybody in the world, I think. We all view ourselves as the one person that, I mean, I guess it's just because of like individuality and just because of like, what we, how we live our lives and how we believe in ourselves. But we all kind of view ourselves as the hero in the hero's journey. It's just kind of like I guess how we're, programmed as people, how we are, just, I don't want to say raised, but like just how we like view things. Like we are the person in our own journey. Nobody else's. That's kind of like why I think that the hero's journey resonates with so many people, is because we all view ourselves as the hero in our own hero's journey. That we are the guy, and we have to do the things that the hero would do. I think that that's super important and a key. Like one of the fundamentals that why we resonate with that story so much is because we all view ourselves as the hero in the hero's journey. That might just because of, where we grow up in the West, right? Because we're part of the Western culture, all right? We're not like we are a first world country, very capitalistic, very individualistic, very materialistic country. And that just this part of the world, I think that is what we kind of like zone in on. That's kind of like what we focus and what we, how we live our lives. Like we are the one. Even if we have families, even if we have people that we love in our lives, we still view ourselves as the one truly like, oh, I matter more than this person. Or I like my goals and my viewpoint and my trajectory, my day, my time matters the most and of everybody else. I think that that's something that is a reason why we all kind of like gravitate towards the hero's journey, and that's kind of like why we all kind of resonate with those stories. Kind of a spin move there, a little bit of a snake, movement, like slithering from one side to the next. Right, we're talking about rockets, we're talking about the hero's journey, all these different twists and turns on today's episode. But hey, I mean, there ain't that much going on out there. There's a lot of serious stuff going on out there that's kind of lame, if I'm being completely honest. A couple cool stuff that I'll talk about later in this episode, but right now we're just kind of hashing it out, talking about shit that, just pops into the head. That's the beauty of this show, is it's just it's a show about nothing. Truly, I think I actually did make the show about nothing and not Seinfeld or not Curb Your Enthusiasm, but The Intelligent Moron is the show about nothing. I think we could all agree about that. As I'm sitting here, recording this, I just took a drink of water out of a plastic bottle, right? And I noticed that on these plastic bottles of water, pretty much all these water bottles nowadays, say purified water, right? And then it says with minerals added for taste. Now, I don't really know like what kind of minerals are being added for a taste. Correct me if I'm wrong, right? Go ahead. A mineral is like a rock, right? It's kind of like a rock or like a pebble, dust, sand. I don't necessarily know what a mineral is. I always thought of mineral as like a small little mini rock. Like I don't know like exactly like if that's true or not, but I feel like that could be a thing. I'm gonna look it up. What is a mineral? Let's see. Mineral. A mineral is a naturally occurring inorganic element or compound having an orderly internal structure and characteristic chemical composition, crystal form, and physical properties. So it's like a crystal, right? Or a rock. I mean, a crystal and a diamond truly, if you look at it, right, is just like a very pretty, shiny rock. That's truly all what it is, right? Because I've seen like videos, and I remember like in science class, like, how do people get diamonds, or how do people find like gems or um crystals or something like that, right? And they're always like, don't they like find them like in rocks, like in the center of rocks, or like these like little crystals or gems? I'm pretty sure. How do you find diamonds? Or unless are they created? So you can find diamonds, or how to find diamonds, actually. This is what Google has to say about diamonds. Now, I'm not sure if a diamond is created by man or we find it. But I'm going to read what Google has to say right here. There are 3 methods of diamond searching. Surface searching consists of walking up and down the rows of dirt looking for diamonds laying on top of the ground. This is the most productive method following a hard rain. Rain washes the soil away, leaving diamonds and other rocks and minerals exposed on the surface. What's the easiest way to find diamonds? Okay, this is just Minecraft. Okay, that's not what I wanted, but what Google says is you look up and down and find them in the rocks and shit. Now, I'm not going to go into detail, right? The show isn't about researching, so I'm just going to leave it at that. You find them in the nature, right? And when the bottle of water says it's purified, and not purified water, with minerals added for taste. Now, that to me is wild. So that means we are drinking rock water. So the water has a specific taste in it, and it's got, rocks, minerals in it, right? Little microscopic rocks that we are, I'm guessing, consuming through this water, and gives it that taste. Now, does tap water have a minerals as well? I'm not too sure. I'm really not. I don't think that it does. I'm just gonna go out on a limb, because if I look up, does tap water have minerals? It's gonna be like, well, where do you live? Are you over here? What's your county? I don't want to give that away. Okay, I don't really care about that. I would assume not, though. I would assume not, only because tap water tastes sometimes. It's got a little bit of chemicals in it. I ain't gonna lie. Where I'm at right now, sometimes I can kind of taste a little something on the water. It might be fluoride, it might be chlorine. I heard that that I think my sister was making a cup of coffee one day, and she was able to taste the chlorine with the tap water that she used to make her coffee. And I was just like, what? You tasted the chlorine? I didn't know that they put that much chlorine in there. And then I did taste it. I'm like, oh, yeah, the water is a bit strong today. Like, it's a little stronger than usual. So maybe where I live, they up the intake of the chlorine. And I'm thinking to myself, like, now why the hell would they do that? How come anybody would put chlorine in water? Isn't that a chemical that maybe we should not be consuming when it comes to drinking water? I just feel like that would be, I don't know, a little weird, wouldn't you say? Wouldn't you think that would be kind of weird to consume water with chlorine? I know we can like swim with in water that has chlorine. I mean, we have swimming pools, we have spas, hot tubs, jacuzzis. You all got to put chlorine in that just to make it clean and cool. But I didn't think that we had to put in the drinking water, if I'm being completely honest. I don't know. I'm thinking to myself, like, why the hell would anybody want to drink water that has chlorine in it? I don't think that anybody, I think that we as a people sometimes just kind of brush things off. Oh, they have this in the water. Nah, okay, whatever. I'll just drink it. I don't care. They must know something, that they must think that it's healthier for us to have this kind of chemical in the water. You can't be too careful with water because, I've heard too many stories, too many weird stories of people drinking some unclean water that, does not, is not good. I think I heard like somebody one time, I think it was from my sister, she said that someone drank like some unpurified water, had like an amoeba, in her stomach and died from it. I don't know the exact story, but I think that's what I heard. And, just you can't drink poor water. You can't drink bad water. It's not good for you, obviously. But then again, I heard, from other people that the best water you can drink is like spring water, which is found in the wild, right? Found in a spring, like a waterfall, like by a waterfall or by like a lake or like through rocks or something like that. And I remember one time I went to Yosemite with my family, and there was a spring there that you can go, and people from all over the park went to fill up their water bottles. And I actually filled mine up. I drank it. It was ice cold, and it was delicious. From the earth. Water from like the earth. Like it found its way through this little tunnel system and through all these rocks and stuff like that. And through all that, purified itself enough for me to drink. And enough for me to tell that, hey, this water's delicious. It's perfect, actually. It's like the best water that I've ever had. And I was just like, wow, all this from filtering like within mountains, and it tastes this good. And back at home, the water has to taste like chlorine in order for it to, be safe drinking water. Isn't that kind of weird? I don't know. It's just kind of strange. When you think about it, the precautions that we have to make the water that comes out of our faucet safe for us. Safe enough for us to drink, to consume at will. Because when we want our water at home, we want it now. And we want it the temperature that we desire. Whether it be cold or hot, whatever. We want it that moment. And we want it now. That commercial, it's my money, I need it now. It's my water, I want it now. Even though that it could be like, damn, I don't know. Now it's getting a little conspiratorial, like putting stuff in the water, right, to make us a certain way. Is that possible? I mean, that could be. I don't think that it's too far-fetched. I really don't. But it's always a possibility, right? But, that comes with the cost. That comes with having water that has to go to everybody. Everybody in the town, the neighborhood, the city, the county, wherever you are, needs water to survive. Needs to drink water, right? So when we talk about like, hey man, what's going on? What they put in the water? You ever hear that phrase before? Must be something in the water, or what's in this water? They're usually joking around, but hey man, you never know what people in higher power could possibly be messing with us, putting in the water. A lot of weird stuff that I've heard of. Weird stuff. I don't know if it's true. I don't really tend to believe it. But if this bottled water that I have says purified, I expect it to be super, super clean and super safe to drink. It must be. Maybe because it's in a plastic bottle, and the plastic bottle can get hot. I mean, when it was traveling, was it hot? Was it cold then? I don't even know. Does that even matter? Does hot plastic, like with water in it, does that kind of like melt the plastic, like microplastics melt into the water, and that's why it has minerals? So it's kind of like a fending off the plastic whatever that's in the water. I have no idea, right? Maybe because the the plastic taste is so strong that they had to put minerals in it to kind of balance out the plastic flavoring of the water. I don't know, I could be wrong, but I don't think it's just for taste. I think that, water, doesn't need a taste. I don't think that we need water to taste good or bad. I just think that, it's a little weird to have water that has minerals in it, which is a rock, which I guess is okay that we consume, right? I guess it's okay that we are able to consume it, People are so scared about, like, putting chemicals into their bodies, right? Like medicine and stuff like that, and, like, vitamins and, snacks have, like, chemicals and dyes and stuff like that. You ever read the backs of these labels of, like, some weird ass candy or something, and you're like, what the fuck is red 4 or yellow 3? What is a basalt or balsamic asphalt or some shit like that? And you're like, what the hell is all this? Why the hell is all these chemicals in this stuff that we eat? It cannot just be to preserve it, right? You think that it might be? You think that they put, like, so many damn chemicals in, like, everything that we freaking eat in this country just to make sure, just to give it a life, just like a longer shelf life in case nobody buys it or it takes forever for it to sell? It could be that. It could also mean, like, maybe it's like an additive or like a replacement, like, how the bread is, like, whole grain, right? But what if there's, like, a filler or something in it that's, like, being, like, I don't know, like they put corn or something in it to make it thicker. I'm not, like, a food manufacturer. I don't work in that department or that field, but I can only imagine, these guys are just like everybody else, right? They kind of want to, do the job quick as possible, cut corners. What makes you think that they won't cut corners in their job? They need to mass produce a bunch of loaves of bread. You think that they're just going to, take their time with every loaf of bread, make sure it has yeast and wheat and sugar, flour and and salt and all the basic stuff? No. Come on. We have to know better than this. I mean, they genetically modify chickens to have bigger breasts, bigger thighs, bigger legs, bigger wings. Like, if you buy a chicken nowadays that has been genetically modified, you will see the difference between the chickens that are modified and the ones that are not. And I don't think that they're just letting the chickens grow and eat and get super fat. I think that there is some sort of genetic, tampering to make them grow faster and grow fast, like super fast, and grow big super fast. That honestly, we probably don't even want to know the truth behind all that stuff because it would just be, like, so bad. But then again, though, like, if we're really thinking about it, I mean, yes, I want to be humane in these, like, animals, how they're raised so we can eat. Because, I mean, come on, you're not going to be like, oh no, I don't like the way that they're treating the chickens. I don't want to eat chicken. And I mean, unless you're like a vegan, right? I understand, like, nobody wants the animals to be, like, in tight ass cages, right? No one wants that shit. But I do want to be able to go to the store and just get some chicken if I want it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like if we go down the path of, like, oh yeah, we should not do, mass food production. We should cut back on factory food production. Sure, that sounds very nice. But is everybody going to be willing to wait, like, so long or learn to raise chickens or, like, do that so you can have chickens and become a farmer, essentially? Is everybody going to be willing to become a farmer? Like, I don't think that these people are. I'm being completely honest. I think that most of them just want to grab the chicken from the store and go feed their family, right? That's it. That's truly what it is. And what does that bring us to? My life, my choice, my path, my family, me. The hero's journey is in everybody, Just a fact. I'm done fooling around. I'm going to talk a little bit about the Xbox showcase that was this past weekend on a Sunday. Might I add to you, a Sunday. This was on a Sunday, which I don't think that is a good day to have an Xbox event, showcase, whatever you want to call it. I think that's just a dumb idea. Like, whatever happened to Saturday, right? But anyways, like, I kind of wanted to walk a little through some of the stuff that they showed and talk about some of the stuff that I saw, which I did not see much, I'll be completely honest, because I was working out that day. And I was not going to miss working out for video games. I just wasn't going to do it. So some of the things that were shown that I guess I'll be willing to talk about that I saw was Gears of War E-Day. Now, I'm saying E-Day as in eat, as in Elliot, as in easy, E-Day. This is a prequel to Gears of War 1, which I've never really played all the way through. I played bits and pieces of 1, 2, and 3. I never completed a campaign. I do hear that these are really good games and really good campaigns that I should probably invest in, I should probably play, but I've never spent the time to actually do that. I don't plan to either, if I'm being completely honest. I don't think that I would ever want to play Gears of War, if I'm being honest. I think that game has passed me by, and I don't think that I'll want to play it. However, the people who like Gears of War really, really like this franchise. They like what it's about. They like what the story has to offer. They like the characters. They like everything in it. They enjoy. And you know what? I think that even though I'm not a fan, and I don't really think I will ever will be a fan, I think because I don't think I'll ever play the games, I do appreciate when Xbox finally does something that their loyal fans of Xbox and loyal fans of the game Gears of War can appreciate. And like, yes, now we have something to look forward to. Now we have a new game. I think that is a really, really good thing for Xbox as a platform and Xbox as a community and the Gears of War community as well. That to me is a good thing. That to me is when gamers win and gaming wins and Xbox wins. I think that this is probably the best announcement that they had at this showcase, if I'm being honest. And I don't even play Gears of War, like I said, but it's a win for them because it's a franchise that has been dormant for a little bit, right? Not a new game in a few years. Not many people knowing when the next game would come. And the fact that this is where they're going with it, being a prequel, and bringing back characters like Marcus Phoenix, Dom is in it. Dom is a character that I've heard of that's in the original Gears of War trilogy that people really like, and it actually coming back, and people being excited about it. It also makes me excited for them because that means that gaming is in a good place. It's in a decent place, at least. So that actually made me happy. That actually made me think about it, really think about this and be like, you know what? Good. Like, this was something that was needed in Xbox. Like, they needed to win this one right here. Because I'll be honest with you, besides Gears of War and a couple others that I'll talk about, there wasn't really much that I saw, because I went back and looked at what they posted and what the games were, some of the games that they were actually going to be putting out, and I saw not much that I was looking forward to, if I'm being completely honest. The Doom game, the The Dark Ages, I heard, looks really good. I'm also excited for the fans to play that, because that is a game that, has made a comeback in recent years. I've only played the first one, not really the campaign. Didn't play the second one, but people seem to really like it. They like it a lot, and I'm like, you know what? That is a good franchise to come back and for people to really enjoy again, and for people to, I'm all about, the gamers liking what they're putting out. Like if I think that Xbox is doing a good job, then the gamers will like it, and then that means that Xbox flourishes, right? I think that is something that's very important. Indiana Jones got some gameplay. Look, I didn't see it. I'll be honest, I didn't see it, but I think that from what I heard, it looked pretty cool. And I was like, okay. I honestly forgot that game was coming out for a bit. They announced it, I think, like maybe early this year. Not announced it, but they showed something off of it like early this year, maybe late last year. I can't remember. And I remember it's like being like, you know what, this actually looks pretty cool. I think that I might actually enjoy this. It might be something that I would play, and I actually might get into really a lot. And I have to look at the gameplay for this game, because I truly have not seen any of it to give like any solid opinion. But from what I've heard from my brother, it's like it looked pretty cool. I'm like, all right, I mean, I might be interested. I haven't, like I said, I haven't seen much, but Indiana Jones, I'm there. As long as it's not another movie, continuing with Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones, I'll be okay. I truly do think that last movie, the Dial of Destiny, was one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. Like, just so bad. Like, I will go to battle. No, I don't want to. I will go to war over Kingdom of the Crystal Skull over Dial of Destiny any day. Any actual day. I will sit somebody down and make them watch Crystal Skull, and then make them watch Dial of Destiny, and then they would have to actually tell me which one was better. And I think that if they actually sat down and watched it and didn't have their previous bias against me, they would actually pick Kingdom over Dial any day of the week. I didn't have a fight, but I had like a little bit of a skirmish with somebody, one of my friends, about it like a couple weeks ago. He actually thought that Dial was better than Kingdom. I was like, bro, respectfully, you're wrong. You are 100% wrong. I don't think that you have seen a Kingdom in 15 years. You need to rewatch it and then come back and tell me, okay? I think I'll do one more game that really caught my eye, that I'm like, you know what? This is cool. Call of Duty Black Ops 6. I am not the biggest Black Ops fan, and we'll be honest up front. I was not the biggest fan of Black Ops. The franchise, the story, the game, the gameplay, you name it. I'm not a Black Ops guy. I am not a Treyarch Call of Duty guy. I am an Infinity Ward Call of Duty gamer first and foremost. I love Modern Warfare. I love the era of Modern Warfare. I love the games. I love their campaigns. I did not play Modern Warfare 3's campaign because I heard that was like one of the worst things that they've ever made. And I've just been more attuned and more keen and much more interested in that game than the Black Ops story. However, this recent showcase where they took a deep dive into Black Ops and showed us what they were working on and how they were approaching this game. And from what I can tell, from what I can see, from what I can tell, going back to the traditional Call of Duty campaign, the action movie, cinematic, blockbustery campaign with, blockbuster movie vibes and blockbuster movie stuff like that, explosions and set pieces and cool missions. This is a return to form that I think needed to happen, because I think that once people saw Modern Warfare 3's campaign for what it is, just being on a big map and going around and doing missions on the big Warzone map for most of it, and then not being very creative or not being very interactive, and being like what I think like maybe 3 hours long, and then Treyarch going back to the traditional Call of Duty campaigns is already a massive, massive win for me. Massive win, because I really enjoyed Modern Warfare 2019 and Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 2022's campaigns. 2023, I heard it was dog shit, and I was actually sad. Like, extremely sad to hear how bad it was that I didn't even play it. But I would have if it was, I was going to if I didn't hear what kind of campaign it was. Like, just a total, like, throwing together, like, we got to put something out or they're going to come after us. Well, you put something out, we're still going to come after you for this piece of shit campaign. But I'm excited that they're actually going back to what they're best known for, is these blockbuster cinematic set pieces, epic campaigns, which I'm like, thank God. This is what we actually needed, And the fact that it's Black Ops and the story of Black Ops, man, honestly, like, I don't care. I just want to play a tight campaign. The Call of Duty Cold War campaign was really good too. That was a cool campaign as well. And I did not play Black Ops 2, 3, or 4's campaign. And I don't really know, like, the full story of, like, what's going on, because I do know that they mentioned that there's going to be things that tie into Call of Duty 2 or Black Ops 2's campaign that are going to be in Black Ops 6's campaign. I'll be honest, I think I might have to actually go back and see what is in that game before I even start the Black Ops 6 campaign. But campaign so far, I'm ready for. Multiplayer, they showed a lot of, like, the stuff, like the new mechanics of movement, stuff like that, with the multiplayer, including this new way of movement called Omni movement, which is, like, basically super fluid, fast-paced movement, meaning, like, you can sprint in every direction without having to use your, to look in that direction to sprint. So you can just, like, start sprinting forward, backwards, side to side. They got this cool thing where you can, like, dive and, like, change directions while you dive, shoot from your back and dive from your back, and, like, have some, and dive and shoot at the same time. Really cool looking movement, I gotta say. Like, not, like, super crazy where you're, like, running on walls and stuff like that, but also, like, a much more fluid and more athletic than, like, what we have right now in Modern Warfare 3. So I'm like, I see this, and I remember, like, when I was younger, wall running was, like, a big, like, no for me. Just like, no, I never want to play that shit. Give me back on my boots on the ground. Well, the boots are back on the ground. They have been for a while. But I do think that with this new improved movement, even though it's, like, a nice improvement, not like a total, like, wall running thing, I do think that it's going to be a pretty welcoming style of play, if I'm being honest. Like, it just feels like more like, action hero-y. Like, they were saying that in the showcase. Like, you feel like more of, like, an action hero that can just, like, dive and shoot and do some cool things like John Wick or something like that. And I was like, you know what? This movement upgrade, even though it's, like, kind of fast for me, I much more appreciated this, than just Infinity Ward just, like, speeding up the already, the current, like, movement, just, like, letting you slide cancel and stuff like that. I just think that, this type of improvement is much more appreciated than the one that they did in Modern Warfare 3, which is just speeding up what they had in Modern Warfare 2, let's be honest. But I'm excited for that. I think that could be really, really cool to see and really, like, fun to play, I think. There's some other games that that came out that, I'll be honest, did not catch my eye at all, now that I'm looking at what I'm seeing. There's one, Age of Mythology retold, don't care. Stalker 2, don't care. Assassin's Creed Shadows, might care a little bit. Dragon Age, The Veilguard, don't care. World of Warcraft, The War Within, don't care. Flight Simulator, don't care. Fable, don't care. Mixtape, don't care. What is that? Don't care. Perfect Dark, don't care. Expedition 33, don't care. South of Midnight, don't care. Shattered Space, what is that? Starfield, Shattered Space, don't care. Life is Strange, don't care. Fallout 76, Skyline Valley, don't care. I mean, you get the idea. Like, there's a lot of stuff out here that they're putting out that, damn, I mean, who cares about Fallout 76 still? Who cares about, World of Warcraft or Flight Simulator or, like, I don't know, what else they got? State of Decay, Sea of Thieves. Sea of Thieves? What are we doing on Sea of Thieves still? That came out years ago. What are we doing here? I think that might be it. I could be interested in. Yeah, that's it. That's all. The only thing that I would want to play is Gears of War, Indiana Jones and Black Ops, Doom, Assassin's Creed, just because I'm a longtime fan. And that's about it, really. I mean, like that is it. That's all. I don't know if those are going to be any good, considering they're all going to be on, I think, Game Pass Day 1. That's always a toss-up, right? Game Pass, you think to yourself, like, oh, it's essentially free. So is the game going to have value? Is the game going to have content? Or do I have to wait for the content to drop? I don't know. I'm not too sure. Hopefully that it comes with content. We never really know. We never really know about that stuff. People were saying, I think I saw this thing on IGN. And IGN is very, 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 just not really, I think, truthful. They're not very truthful for what they say. Some things I feel like they just kind of blow out of proportion. I'm not going to lie. I just feel like sometimes they just make a little bit, like, they make, they over, like, what's the word? They make things bigger than they are. They think they also, like, kind of like generate, like, more buzz on something that I think that it more than it deserves. And I think somebody posted, like, just a picture of, like, Xbox and said, like, this was, like, the most or the best, like, Xbox showcase in a long time. I'm like, really? Like, I'm thinking about it to myself, like, Gears of War, yeah. Black Ops, yeah. Indiana Jones, yeah. Pretty cool. Everything else, I don't think that you could consider that like a win for Xbox, if I'm being honest. I don't know. I just feel like there could be much better things that could come to Xbox. Like, I see a bunch of games that are going to be on Game Pass Day 1. I see a bunch of those games that are going to come out Day 1 on Game Pass. But are these games any good? Which is the question, like, I think I've been asking a lot of, talking with my brother, talking with other people, like, hey, like, all these games are on Game Pass, but they're not really that good, though. Like, they're not, like, that great of games where, like, people are, like, raving about them. Like, look at this game. This game is fun. Play this. This is a great game. Like, no, there's just, like, a ton of games on Game Pass that are, like, subpar at best. The ones that are, like, great, like Gears of War, Call of Duty, Doom will be pretty cool. Like, that's it, though. Like, there isn't that many that are coming out on Xbox that are, like, worth, like, playing. If I'm being honest, like, yeah, they have the variety. They have, like, the sheer amount of games, but, like, when it comes to quality, I think that PlayStation is now, not now, but has always been the king of, like, quality of games. Like, I used to just say, oh, I'm playing Xbox because of Halo, or I got an Xbox because of Halo. Well, I have a PlayStation because of God of War, because of Spider-Man, because of, at the moment, Helldivers, because I want to play Ghost of Tsushima. Yeah, like I think that right now PlayStation is kind of king on like if you want good games, like really good games, go to PlayStation. I had been fighting for so long for Xbox in Xbox's corner, and every year I feel like I got less and less and less good games from Xbox, and more games on Game Pass, but less good games from Xbox. So I guess like I'm not done with Xbox. I don't think I'll ever be done. I like my Xbox. I like playing games on my Xbox. But when it comes to like single player games that are like, only PlayStation exclusives, that's why I'm going to be like, that's what I'll be like, looking forward to, right? In terms of like the quality of the game, the production of the game, the longevity of the game, the content of the game. You can almost like pretty much like guarantee if it's going to come out on PlayStation, the quality of that game is going to be pretty damn good compared to the quality of the game that's on Xbox. Not saying the same game, but like if a PlayStation exclusive versus an Xbox exclusive, I mean, I think that the PlayStation exclusive is going to be better than the Xbox exclusive. If I'm being honest, if I'm being completely honest, I think it will be. But yeah, an okay showcase. Like the ones that were like the big ones were pretty surprising. They were pretty good. But I looked at the list and what I saw was just meh. Like I don't think I wouldn't be shocked. If only like 5 games were released, and it was those 5, I would notice them. But because they were released with like 20 other games that did not matter at all, that you see and you're like, yawn, scroll, yawn, next one, yawn, next one. They only could have released like 3 or 5, and you would be on the same level of excitement as you are right now. Like the rest of these games, they could honestly have done without them, and it would have generated the same amount of hype as it has right now. Like you think that people are going to be hyped for Microsoft Flight Simulator? I think people are going to be hyped for Sea of Thieves. And I don't even think that Gears of War E-Day is even going to come out this year. So that just leaves us with Call of Duty this year. From those big ones that I mentioned. Assassin's Creed is coming out this year too, but like Gears of War E-Day, I don't think it's coming out this year, I'll be honest. But yeah, an okay showcase, but not really one to be like, yes, Xbox is back. That's a little bit overblown, honestly. That's going to be it for me today, people. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Remember, you can find this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube at Intelligent Moron with Alex Silva. New episodes drop every Thursday morning. Make sure to like, subscribe, rate, review, and do all the good stuff. And yes, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And I will see you guys next week.